All right, thank you, Noah. As he mentioned, be very precautious of the weather elements, and a lot of people are going to be staying inside. So as the Better Business Bureau is saying, this is a great time to go ahead and look at those tax documents. Monica Horton with the Better Business Bureau is joining me, and we're talking about protecting yourself against tax scams. What is one of the key things that people need to know?
Well, unfortunately, tax season is prime for the fraudsters. They love to impersonate the IRS. They love to pose as tax relief professionals that can help us, lessen our tax burden or help us apply and qualify for government programs. So we know that it's top of mind right now during tax season, and we wanted to bring some tips for consumers just to help protect themselves from tax scams. And one of the ways that we encourage consumers to do that is file your taxes early. You want to file them before the fraudsters have an opportunity to send in a fraudulent return using your information. And this is called income tax identity theft. And a lot of times, the consumer doesn't realize that they've been a victim of it until they receive an actual communication from the IRS that says they've received 2 tax returns using their information, or a communication from the IRS that says that they have an employer that the consumer doesn't recognize. So someone has been working using your Social Security number and that sort of thing. So there are a lot of opportunities for the fraudsters to steal our information and steal our money with these tax scams.
Yes. Now, one of the things that when you're watching out for all of these scams is knowing the proper contact from the IRS. The IRS is not going to contact you in a couple of ways. Can you tell me what some of those ways would be?
That's right. They like to create authentic-looking phishing emails, which we're all familiar with, but we're distracted this time of year, and the crooks like to impersonate the IRS because that invokes a sense of urgency in us. So just know the IRS is not going to contact you via email. They're not going to send you a text message. They're not going to communicate with you over social media. Typically, when you receive that communication from the IRS, the first form of communication is going to be in a letter form. So just be aware of that, but it does invoke a sense of urgency, like I said, when we receive that communication from the IRS.
The most typical way being a letter, I can remember that.
That's right. Yes. And make sure you are doing business with a trustworthy tax professional when you are looking for someone to file your tax return for you. Double check the website, make sure that you are actually on the IRS's actual website. It's going to end in .gov and nothing else. So make sure you're on the actual website. We encourage consumers to check with the Better Business Bureau to see what we have to say about a tax professional prior to using them, because if we have that warning and that information out there, we want that to protect someone from being victimized by the same company over and over again.
Okay. And Monica, I'm just curious, if you are in communication with someone and you feel like they maybe not be the most trustworthy, what do you do in that sense? How do you stop?
If you're ever in doubt that you may be getting tangled up in a scam or talking to somebody, pretending to be the IRS or pretending to be someone that they're not, definitely stop all communication with them and contact the IRS directly using a phone number that you have access to, that you find that's an actual IRS phone number. So we always encourage people to discontinue any form of communication. Obviously the IRS is not going to ask you for bank account information. They're not going to ask you for PIN numbers. They're not going to ask you for certain things, and they're not going to require strange forms of payment like a prepaid credit card or wire transfer. Things like that should be red flags as well.
Okay. Well, if you need a reminder on all of those tips, we'll have a link to the Better Business Bureau's website inside this story over on Texomashomepage.com.